What's up, stackers? Wanted to welcome you to the Silver and Gold Stack Attack channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Neil G, and this is actually the inaugural vid for this channel, so I appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to cover some tips for new stackers, some things to avoid when you're first starting out, and some general tips. I know what you're thinking, another silver stacking video on YouTube, right? I mean, there's no shortage of them. It's all good. If you're anything like me, you looked around for as many user-friendly sources that you could find when you first got into this thing. So all that being said, let's get rolling. So you've decided to stack bullion. Well, the first thing you got to do is decide what kind of investor you're going to be. Very important. You got to know what your strategy and end game is before you get started. Because if you don't have goals and plans, you're going to wind up buying stuff all over the place with no apparent game plan. That costs you money in the end. Set up a strategy, stick to it, and be prepared to modify that strategy as the market dictates. So why are you stacking? Always keep in mind that regardless of that strategy, the focus of precious metal investing needs to center around being a long-term game. Remember that, long-term. It needs to act as a hedge against inflation, be a backup plan against economic turmoil, could even be a cover for any road bumps you might hit in your other portfolio markets. We call that dollar cost averaging over time. Silver is not going to be a get-rich-quick endeavor. It's just not. It's going to take patience and fortitude to keep your holdings throughout the dips and rises that silver is famous for. It could take years to see a nice gain, sometimes decades, and it could take insane drops during your hold time. The key is don't panic. You got to be prepared to ride that storm out. Precious metals are among the most manipulated commodities there are. You're going to see a lot of changes in value, and let's face it, silver is one of the most volatile metals out there. So the biggest thing you got to figure out is this: are you stacking or are you collecting? There's a major difference between the two, so you've got to decide one or the other, or even maybe a healthy balance of the two. Everybody's into different stuff. In my opinion, new stackers should focus on getting the best value for their buck, and to me, that's buying the highest amount of silver for the lowest cost possible. You're going to go to these coin shops and you're going to go online. You're going to see these beautiful American silver eagles, other government issued stuff that looks absolutely phenomenal. And there is nothing wrong with stacking eagles and other government bullion. Nothing at all. They're typically among the nicest out there. They're very attractive, and they're kind of hard to stay away from, to be honest. I've been guilty of that, and I do enjoy buying other government issues from other countries. You got to remember, though, on government issued bullion, the premium, and that's how much the dealer is selling it over spot value. The premium is high on Eagles, Maples, Britannias, Krugerrands, you name it. Eagles themselves, I mean, even with currently, as of the date of this video, silver is right around the $25, $26 range. Silver Eagles are going anywhere from $32 up to $49 and up. I mean, do you think you're going to get that back if silver doesn't take a huge climb in value? When you go to cash those Eagles in, you could take a hit. But that being said, Eagles, Maples, Britannias, Krugerrands, they're all the most popular since they're created by government mints. And they have an assigned monetary value, and the content and purity is backed by the sovereign nation that issued them. So there is value to government-issued bullion. But on the other hand, another option to get the most bang for your buck is generic silver rounds and bars. A lot of stackers are going to tell you the main objective is to amass as much silver as possible. And the best way to do that is to keep your cost per ounce down as far as possible. The money you save buying a roll of 20 generic rounds could actually add up to 1 additional ounce of silver in comparison to buying a roll of 20 Eagles. We're talking about an approximate 5% more silver for your buck when you compare generics against government bullion coin purchases. But we're going to cover that later on in this video, so we'll hold off on that. So just remember, silver is a long game. If you're stacking in the hopes of making quick money, you're probably among the minority among stackers. You need to understand your reason for stacking, which will help you develop your strategy. That strategy can evolve over time. How much do you want to stack? If you're collecting silver, how large do you want your collection to be? These questions are going to help you develop that strategy. Try beginning with your end goal and work backwards from there. So let's talk budget. Determining your budget is one of the most important aspects of stacking bullion when you decide to get in. We've talked about already. Some stack silver as a hedge against inflation, others in hopes of silver blowing up some decade from now, so they keep amassing large quantities, and others stack as a hobby. Again, not many people are stacking silver in hopes of financial security. It's not that kind of precious metal yet. We're not there. Some might be tempted when they first get in to blow entire paychecks on bullion. You need to avoid that. You may have heard that the magical $100 ounce is upon us soon, or you're motivated out of FOMO, fear of missing out, and you're afraid you're not going to get any silver. Your budget should always be determined by your investing strategy and nothing else. Don't panic buy and don't panic sell. Remember, we talked about it. This is the long haul. Personally, I like to think about silver as a savings account. One way or the other, it's going to be money. And I'm not out there spending it on other frivolous things as I can be prone to doing. Your best bet is to budget a certain amount from each paycheck that you can afford to spend. You've already decided, you looked at your bills, you know what you can afford, you know what you got left over. Stick to it. In theory, you should consider one major factor before allocating any of your wages towards stacking bullion. How much do you have in cash saved in the bank? It's an important question. Ideally, with the way things are looking at this moment in history, you should always have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up before you begin spending your hard-earned money on bullion. That's your emergency fund. Hey, why is that? Well, bullion isn't as liquid as fiat currency in the event of an emergency. This is not. Something goes wrong in the country, everything crashes. You got to find a buyer who's willing to cash out your silver. And that could take time. So believe it or not, unless the dollar has completely died out, you're going to need to count on cash. So once you set your budget, stick to it. When you come across any extra funds like bonuses and whatnot, you can always buy a little extra, but you don't want to tap into your emergency savings to stock up on bullion. Fiat dollars may be declining downward, but as of right now, they still have a purpose, and that's quick access to pay for emergency needs. You need that. Pricing and premiums. When you start stacking any kind of bullion, it's important to understand both of these. The spot price is constantly changing, and usually by the hour. It's a good idea to have a phone app nearby to check the current rate before purchasing or selling. They change by the hour. They literally change so frequently. As you already know, the spot price is the asking price for the precious metal. The kind that you buy is going to determine the premium that you end up paying. For example, premiums on American Silver Eagles. They're high. Okay, they're high. These right now, I think these are overpriced as far as what they're selling for. But these are government issued bullion. You got Canadian maples, the UK Britannias, Australia kangaroos, Kruger ants, pandas, Libertads, Philharmonics. These are all examples of government issued bullion. They come in several measurements, but 1 ounce is probably the most popular for stacking. But these are the coins that are going to have the highest premiums. Okay. But they have a face value. They're more recognizable, and their authenticity is basically confirmed by the issuing mint. So you got to pay for those features. Okay, but when it comes to generics, you're going to get lower premiums. These are less recognizable and pretty plain, minimal design. Not a whole lot of cost has gone into these, but it's an ounce of silver, bottom line. They're your basic measures, and probably the most cost-effective way to stack if you're going for sheer volume. Okay, sheer volume, generic is the way to go because you're going to pay the lowest premiums on these. All right. That being said, if you need to sell your collection in a pinch, you're going to have an easier time selling Eagles than you would generic rounds and bars. Government bullion just doesn't have that problem. Okay, it could take you a long time to sell your generic silver in case there's issues or somebody believes there's an issue with it. Another example of a generics 1 ounce round. I mean, it's simple. There's nothing crazy about these. It's 1 ounce of silver. Okay. So those are your premiums. Basically, the cost over the spot price that online dealers and local coin shops are charging you. It's how they make their money. They got to make a buck. That's why they're there. That being said, don't settle for high premiums. It doesn't matter how badly you want that Silver Eagle. You shouldn't be paying an insane amount over spot for them. All right. It's just not a cost-effective way to stack silver. I've seen Eagles for $33, $32, and then I've seen them as high as the mid 40s to low 50s. Do your research before you purchase. All right, so we've just covered the generic versus government issued bullion topic. So that means we're going to move into bullion from around the world. I'm going to give you my top 8. This is just my opinion, based on how well they sell, design. They're all nice, and these are all 1 ounce coins. So we'll get started. This is 1 through 8. You might have a different 1 through 8. A lot of other people will have a different 1 through 8, but these are mine in particular. So here we go. Coming in at number 8 from Mexico, the Libertad. Okay, this design has actually changed. This is an older one, but I prefer this one over the new one because it's got more detail to it. This is 3/9 fine, 1 ounce. And this is the backside. You can get these at a decent price. Premiums aren't too bad on them. So that's number 8. Coming in at number 7 from Austria, the Philharmonic. This is also 3/9 fine. It's also, I believe, the first government round to be issued in euros, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can check me on that. But the premiums on these are pretty reasonable. Okay, they really do have reasonable sale prices on these. So it's a very popular coin in Europe. It's nice. It's easily bought. And that's number 7. Number 6, coming out of China, the Panda series. Oh, people love these. These are really detailed. And the good thing about the Panda series is that they change every year. So you're going to get a different design each year that they're issued. That's the Temple of Heaven on the back. You can see this is a 2015. Okay. But this is a very, very popular series. These are not going to be cheap. The premiums on these tend to be a little bit higher sometimes. Just depends when you catch them. So that's coming in at number 6. All right, we're in the top 5. Top 5 from South Africa, the Krugerrand. Now, this one's a 2018, and this is the first year, I think, that these were issued in silver. Up to that point, Krugerrands were only available in gold. So this is the first time that these came out in silver. This is 1 ounce, I believe 3/9. You got Henry Kruger on the back, South Africa's first and only president. And I think the simplicity of this one is what makes it popular. It's a beautiful coin. Premiums are fair to middling on these. All right, so that's it, number 5. Coming in at 4 from Australia down under, the Kangaroo. Hey, this one's 1 ounce, 4/9 fine. So it's a little bit purer silver than the 3/9. When it's all said and done, it's still 1 ounce of silver. So this is a 2016. And you got Queen Mother on the back. Get used to that face. She's on pretty much everything. So this is number 4, the Australian Kangaroo. It's a very popular one. Top 3, number 3, coming in from the UK. And my personal favorite round. This is the 2021 Britannia. They modified the design this year. They put a little... a few more security features on it. I don't know if you can tell, but the background has got like waves that kind of move. They're almost animated. And they have really done a great job on this one. And again, on the back, get used to her, Queen Mother. All right, so this is actually my favorite government issued bullion right here, the UK Britannia. Number 2, and probably by no surprise, from Canada, the Silver Maple. Okay, this is another 4/9 fine. All right, that means the silver is a little bit more pure than the 99.9s. But again, it's still 1 ounce of silver. But this one has a security feature on it as well, little maple leaf there. These are highly liquid. These are almost as liquid as the Eagles. They're recognizable. They come from a big mint. Um, they sell really well. Premiums are actually decent on these. You'll be able to get these not too much. Not too much over, I think. So number one, and to nobody's surprise, I'm quite sure, from America, the old American Silver Eagle. Everybody knows about this one. Um, yeah, this one is the most recognized across the world for now. For now, I think if China has their way, they'll have something to do with it. But right now, this is the most recognizable 1 ounce government issued silver round. Okay, and we all know we know about this one. Everybody's got them in their collection. Uh, they're just well recognized, easily liquid. So those are the top 8. I want to give honorable mention to a couple. Australia does a really good job on their bullion. This is from the Kookaburra series. They're just really sharp. These are just awesome. So this is the Australian Kookaburra. You can get these fairly reasonable. I've seen these for about 35, so a few dollars over spot. Not the greatest premium, but not too bad. Another one from Australia, and I love the design on this. This wasn't even on my hit list until I saw it in the shop, and I really like the design of it. This is the Lunar Year of the Ox, I believe, from Australia. This is 2021. The frosted design versus the almost proof design on it, just really, that's awesome. It's a really, you have to see it in person. And one more. This one might be my favorite ever. This one is from the Falkland Islands. I like anything with Britannia on it, period. And this one is no exception. I love this one. So this is 1 crown from the Falkland Islands. Queen Mother. Shocker. Get used to that face, folks. She's on everything. But this is one of my favorites. I really love the design on this one. It's awesome. So there you have it. Some extras, and those are my top. Those are my top 8. Moving on. So let's talk about fractionals real quick. Basically on the screen before this one, you saw a capture of a website selling 1/10 of an ounce gold eagles for $269.34 for that little piece of gold. Okay. If you add that up, multiply that times 10 to get a full ounce, you're going to come up with $2,693.40. Spot price of gold today is around $1,600. So guess what? If you buy 10 of these little things, you're going to be up $1,000 over what you would have paid for a full ounce. So you got to kind of decide whether that's something you want to do. There are benefits to fractionals. They're more affordable. You can piece it together as you get extra money and build up to that ounce of gold that you're looking for. The disadvantage is the high premiums, obviously. By the time everything's said and done and you've bought all those little increments to add up to an ounce, you've spent a lot more than that gold is worth. So same thing goes for silver. For example, that's what is this, a half ounce? Silver is not too badly overpriced, but it's still not worth it in the end. You're going to pay more for fractionals than you are the full ounce. If cost is prohibiting you from buying more than fractional, my advice to you would be to put that fractional money that you would have spent away until you can afford an ounce of whatever metal you're chasing. It's a waste of money to buy 10 fractionals to build up to an ounce. So again, my recommendation is to save your money, put it away each month, each week, each month, whatever you're doing. The money that you would have spent on a fractional, just put it away. And by the time you add up 10 payments, you can buy a full ounce or more, because you'd have to save a lot less to save up for an ounce than you would for 10 fractionals. So just a piece of advice on that. I don't care for fractionals. I think it's a good way if you want to limit your portfolio to some other metals and maybe diversify a little bit. Say you just want to throw some platinum in there. You can buy an increment or a fraction. You just want to throw a little bit of gold. You don't want a full ounce, but you just want to say you got some gold in your portfolio. You buy a couple of 1/10s. Completely up to you. I don't personally recommend them due to the value of them in the end. You're going to pay a lot more than they're worth. All right, let's talk about junk silver real quick. So, what is it? Well, many American coins prior to 1965, so 64 and below, had 90% silver content. So, junk silver is kind of a harsh name, but it's referring to coins that are valued more for their silver content than their numismatic value. Um, some advantages: you can break them up in a trade or barter situation. The amount you need is in smaller amounts. You don't have to give up a silver eagle for a loaf of bread. And that's a harsh example, but just a point I'm trying to make. They're affordable. Premiums are fairly reasonable. And legal face value, they are and remain legal tender. So they're always going to be worth their face value. So how much is this stuff worth? Well, easy formula. For every dollar you have of junk silver, and it could be any combination of quarters, half dollars, dimes, whatever, each dollar in any increment is worth 0.715 troy ounces of silver content. So that's almost 3/4 of an ounce of silver for each dollar of silver junk. Okay. You take a look at what we got here, and there's a lot of different forms of it. These are the Walking Liberty half dollars. They're pretty worn out, but there's still value in these. Okay. And you can tell this is a dime. So I think it's 64. Yeah, 64. There's a different color to these. So if you get a roll of dimes, and these are definitely going to pop out. Anything with silver content is going to be, you won't see that copper middle, so to speak, when you look at a regular standard coin. It's going to be straight up shiny silver. So you'll be able to pick them out. So right here we've got 4 half dollars. So there's $2. If we multiply that times the 0.715 troy ounce formula, we come up with 1.43 ounces of silver. Okay, so almost a ounce and a half of silver in these 4 coins right here. All right, so there is value to having these in your portfolio. You just got to make sure you can store them somewhere. All right, well, that just about wraps it up, guys. I appreciate you checking in and checking out our first video here. I promise the next one's going to be a little bit more entertaining because we're going to see how we can identify some fake silver. This one was a little long and a little bit dry at times, I get it. And it may seem basic to some of you who have been collecting silver and bullion for some time. But this was to kind of help out beginners that have just gotten into it or are looking to get into it. So again, thank you for checking out the video, and we'll see you next time.